Hey, welcome to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about the joke is on you.
So the big question is this: how are parents like us, who don't have a manual, who are doing the best we can, who feel as though we aren't enough, how are we going to raise healthy, happy children who we are proud of and still keep our sanity in that process? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Ryan Roy, and welcome to I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, a podcast for parents who are being real with themselves.
Hey, welcome back to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about the joke is on you. What do you mean the joke is on you? So I had this great conversation the other day with two women who have grade school children just like my own. They go to the same school as my son, and these two women, one has two boys, I have two boys, and the other one has one boy. And they were talking about how, all my kids ever talk about are poop and farts and this and that, and I just can't stand it. And I laughed. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. To both of you ladies, when you got married, or even when you were dating, did you find it attractive, a man that could make you laugh? And the one looked and she just laughed. She says, the whole reason I married my husband is because he can make me laugh. And the other one says, if he can't make me laugh, I don't want to hang out with him. I said, so why, as moms, when your children are less than 10 years old and their only experience in life is eating, peeing, and pooping and sleeping, pretty much, right? These are the things they find funny. These are bowel movements. They make funny sounds. When they start testing their ability to laugh or to tell a joke and they think it's funny, why would you stifle that development by saying that's not funny? Because to them it is funny. When you tell them they shouldn't talk about poop or farts or things of that nature, you stifle their ability, or you have them question their ability, like, I think it's funny, but mom says it's not right. And if it's not right and it's not funny, I don't want to do it. So I kind of said this. Listen, I don't know jack about parenting, but I know this. Sometimes we got to send some shock value to people to get the message through. I said, listen, if your kids don't know how to tell a joke, if they can't put a pregnant pause in there, or they can't do it with a smile, or they can't control their own laughter as they're creating the build-up and telling the story, they may never go on a date their entire life. And if you ever want to have grandchildren, right now what you're doing is hindering the ability for that to happen. And she says, what? And I said, listen, all women want men who can make them laugh. Most men want to be around other men who can not only tell a joke, can laugh at themselves, but can take, a joke on. If someone's cracking jokes about me, and if I can laugh about it, the guys will bust chops. So I'll tell you this. First of all, I waited tables for years of putting myself through college, so I had to learn how to tell jokes. I grew up watching some of the best comics, whether it was Eddie Murphy, Bill Cosby, Sam Kinison, George Carlin, all these people, listening to them and listening to how they pause and listening to how they delivered a joke and how they brought some sarcasm into it, and how they delivered is all part of how that is. So I would repeat their jokes and tell other people, and they would laugh hysterically. So I was playing golf, and I don't really play golf, which is funny in itself. And everyone kept saying, man, you don't play golf? Why are you going to come out here? I said, aren't you worried what the other guys are going to think? I was like, I don't really care. I said, I suck. I know I suck. So we're about halfway through the round. It was supposed to be a foursome. It got kicked down to a threesome. There's three of us playing. One guy is actually going for his PGA, Pro Golf Association cards so he could play on the tour. Another guy is a pretty good, it's like scratch golfer, if that's the proper term, I don't really know. And then there's me, a guy who's played 4 times in the last 20 years. And we're having a decent round considering who's out on the field. And I said to the guys, I said, hey, I think our score is pretty awesome. Considering you guys are playing, or considering one of us is, how did I put it? Like, one of us is just absolutely horrendous. And that's not even the worst of it. And then I go, and then we got this guy, which is the guy who was a pretty good golfer. But the way I paused, and when I said it, I wasn't intending on doing it, but I paused for like 5-6 seconds, just enough. And I was like, and then we got this guy over here, which is even worse. And the 3 of us got big, huge belly laughs, and they were like, oh, dude, that was so funny. Because we're all laughing at ourselves. But you can't do that if people are always telling you, if moms are always telling you, if dads are always telling you, hey, that's not funny. Hey, don't do that. Don't say that. Don't talk about poop. I tell my son there's times that it's appropriate and not, but I never tell him it's not funny. So he's in that age where butts and farts and poop and pee are hilarious. So not too long ago, I think it was actually last summer, we put him in a camp. My son's a pretty well-behaved kid. See, I don't know jack about parenting, but I'm doing something right because he's never really been in trouble. So I hear the counselor, the administrator, the teacher, whatever you want to call her for this particular camp, she's talking to another parent, and you could tell she's having a bad day. She's like, well, your kid did this and that and the other. And I was like, I just kind of pointed to my son, like, come with me, let's get out of here. And I get about 5 or 6 steps away of heading out the door, and she goes, oh, sir, I need to talk to you. And I literally did a double take. I looked, I kind of pointed to myself, I looked over my shoulder. She's like, yeah, you. She goes, your son didn't behave well today. And he was a few steps ahead of me. I said, hey, just wait there. I got to talk to her. But I am literally dumbfounded. This does tie in. There is a joke here. And she says, your son used some inappropriate language today. If you're in my household, you would know that there's not a whole lot of inappropriate language. So if he had it, he picked it up somewhere else. Don't get me wrong, it does happen, but not enough where he understands or knows what it is. And I know this because he said some words like fuck and hell, and he was just rhyming words. I was like, duck, and he's like, fuck. Whoa. I said, hey, you can't say that word. He's like, why? I said, that's just one of those that's a bad word. And he just genuinely did not know. And one time in school, he said hell. Anyway, back to this woman telling me that he said some inappropriate words. So and I'm looking at her dead in the eye, about 3 feet from each other, enough body distance to respect each other's space. And I'm like, I have to pull it out of her. I said, so are you going to share with me what he said so that I can address it at home? Because right now, I'm not going to do it here, but I need to address it at home. You're letting me know, I'll take care of it. She said, he said the word but. I said, he said what? He said, but. When I said something to him about it and told him it was inappropriate, he and his friend laughed at me. Now you got to understand, he's 6 at this time, 6.5 years old, and she just said he used the word but. So I looked at her dead in the face. Now he's 10 feet away from me, behind me, and I said, I appreciate what you have to say, but I'm not really concerned. But I'll talk to him. The look of horror on her face was pretty comical in and of itself. So I start walking away. I start walking with him. I put my arm around him. I'm still in the school. I said, young man, are butts funny? And he doesn't know how to answer because I know he thinks in his mind that they're funny, But the teacher didn't think it was funny, and she just talked to me, and now I'm asking him the question. And here's the challenge. A lot of times kids want to give you what they think is the right answer as opposed to what they believe. I always try to give my child permission to give the answer that he believes is right, and then we'll have a discussion around it. I didn't even hesitate as I asked it, as he hesitated to answer. I said, butts are funny. That was funny. You probably laughed at her because you were laughing because whatever you and your friends were saying was funny. And just know that daddy is okay with it. Here's the deal. For whatever reason, they don't think it's funny at this school. So we're just going to not talk about that stuff here at school. We good? Yeah. So now tell me your best butt joke. And he's walking out laughing out of the school. And the front desk ladies are like, what's so funny? I said, you know, I'd love to tell you. And I look at him. I go, but he and I need to get home right now. And he starts laughing even harder. And they're like, whatever. And I did tell them later on. See, life is better when we're laughing. Allow your kids to tell jokes. I don't know jack about parenting, but I do know that the more we laugh, the better life is. We'll see you in the next episode.
Do you want to be the dad you wish you had? If so, go get my free book, Be the Dad You Wish You Had, at BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com. Inside, you'll find my most effective 40 tips to quickly and easily transform yourself into the ideal dad. Go to BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com now and get it while it's free.